Nah, I mean, what beefs do we want to talk about? Like,
Can it be?
Yes. Can we talk about that? What's the situation there? What happened?
I don't know what happened. Like, you talking about with me and him or his career? Because either one would be the same answer.
Man, you and him, man. What sparked that? I mean, I'm surprised. That kind of came from nowhere.
I don't know. He's like on some shit. Like, his shit came out of left field. Like, you gotta ask him.
Very few rappers ever had the guts to step toe-to-toe with Eminem when he was at his sharpest. M was built for beef, controversy, and lyrical warfare. But one feud nearly pushed him off balance: the legendary clash with battle rapper Canibus.
I don't know if I want to get into the whole story. Like, I met him at his video shoot like 4 years ago when he was just about to blow, and everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing. And
They were wrong.
They were wrong. And yo, honestly, he was an asshole. Like, he played himself. Like, to me, like Clef, they thought I did the LL diss record. They thought I wrote LL's response, and like that's why they called me down to the video shoot. And like Clef had asked me, did I write it? And I was like, no, I didn't write it. And then Canibus like asked me separately from Clef, and I was like, dog, I'm a grown man. I'll tell you if I wrote it, I didn't write it. And he was like, yo, B, I'm not gonna say that I believe you. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust nobody in this game, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, well, look, I didn't write it, and I like your style, and hopefully maybe one day we can do a record together. And he was like, yo, B, you get to know me first. Come hang out with me first. And walked away and left me standing there like an asshole. So I'm like, I didn't know what the guy's problem was.
And today, we're diving straight into the full story of Eminem versus Canibus. Back in the late 90s, two rising MCs were making noise. Eminem, a hungry Detroit lyricist about to take over the industry, and Canibus, a battle rapper who was already feared in underground circles. What's wild is that Eminem actually showed love at first. In interviews, he even called Canibus the best battle MC in the game. But in hip-hop, respect can flip into rivalry overnight. And that's exactly what happened in 1998, before Eminem ever signed with Aftermath. This drama really traces back to Canibus's feud with LL Cool J. LL had assembled a monster track, 4, 3, 2, 1, with DMX, Method Man, Redman, and Canibus himself.
Came to see me on tour and apologized on the Warped Tour. He came on my bus and apologized for the way he acted and said maybe we can do a record together. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Well, Paul brought me a track. He brought me a track like a few months later that I wasn't feeling. So I was like, yo, tell him I'm not really feeling the whole concept. And at the time, I was busy. Like, I was, you know, I had the world like racing around me at that time, and I didn't really know what was happening. So I declined to do the record and told him maybe we could do something else, you know, in the future, whatever, when I got time to like really sit down and collaborate with him. Next thing I know, the record comes out, same beat, same track he gave me, called F*** You, with a song that sounded like he was dissing me. Then people said that it sounded like he was dissing LL, and it sounded like he was dissing me at the same time, so I couldn't really judge.
On Canibus's original verse, he spit the line, "Yo, L, is that a mic on your arm?" referring to LL's famous tattoo. LL didn't take it as a joke. He saw it as a diss. So he personally called Canibus and told him, change your verse or you're off the song. Canibus swallowed his pride and switched it up, and the official track dropped October 14th, 1997. But the damage was done. Canibus felt played, like LL had punked him in front of the industry. So on March 24th, 1998, he clapped back with second round KO, throwing direct shots at LL Cool J and making it crystal clear he wasn't scared. Just a month later, LL came back swinging with The Ripper Strikes Back on April 28th, 1998. Here's where it gets messy. According to Eminem, Canibus's own manager whispered in his ear that M was the ghostwriter behind LL's diss track. That rumor lit the fuse. Instead of squashing it, Canibus invited Eminem to the set of his second round KO video shoot, unknowingly dragging Slim Shady deeper into the crossfire. Eminem kept it real from the jump. When Canibus pressed him about writing LL's diss track, M flat out denied it. But Canibus wouldn't let it go. He asked again, and M hit him with a bold response. He was a grown man, and if he had written it, he'd say so. Instead of beef, M even tried to extend an olive branch, telling Canibus he wanted to collaborate. But Canibus brushed him off, saying M should get to know him first. That slight rubbed Eminem the wrong way, and just like that, the respect turned into tension. This was the spark that lit their feud. By September 8th, 1998, Canibus dropped his debut album Can I Bus, which pulled in around 127,000 first-week sales but got ripped apart by critics. Meanwhile, Eminem's fire was just beginning to spread. On February 23rd, 1999, he released his major label debut, the Slim Shady LP. Hidden inside the chaos of that album was a not-so-subtle jab. On Role Model, M referenced the ghostwriting rumor tied to LL's diss track. Here's where it got even nastier. On the radio edit of Role Model, Eminem flat-out mentioned Canibus's name, throwing shade by echoing lines from that controversial 4, 3, 2, 1 moment. Even on the official album version, Canibus's name was still lurking in the bars, leaving no doubt who Slim was aiming at. But M wasn't done. On June 15th, 1999, Sway and King Tech dropped their album, This or That. Slim hopped on the track Get You Mad, where once again he sent darts flying straight at Canibus. He wasn't holding back. This was battle on wax. Later that same year, Eminem did an interview where he doubled down. When asked if he'd ever take back anything he'd said, Slim replied that he regretted only one thing, ever saying Canibus was dope, because now he thought he wasn't. According to M, by that summer, Canibus actually pulled up to see him during the Warped tour to apologize and try to squash the beef. But the damage had already been done. Even after all the tension, Canibus still circled back and asked if Eminem was down to collab. And surprisingly, M said yes. The plan was for Eminem to jump on Canibus' second album, 2000 BC, specifically on the third verse of the track, Fuck You. But things flipped quick. When Eminem heard the final product, he said he wasn't feeling it and backed out of the feature. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just a day before the album dropped, Canibus went up to Hot 97 and spit a 100-bar freestyle, where he allegedly dissed Eminem, claiming he was whack simply because he wasn't black. That line set the stage for all-out battle. On July 18, 2000, Canibus released 2000 BC, and on the very same track, Eminem was supposed to appear on.
As you can see, here's the CD, My Club, the curriculum. Now I try to highlight over it with permanent marker to give y'all a better understanding of it, but I kind of highlighted over the word Slim. But as you can see right there, battle, and then right there on the right, it says me. And then as you can see, it makes up Slim, and then backwards, Shady. So just a cool little Easter egg by Canibus on the disc of his CD, My Club, the curriculum.
He turned the verse into a diss aimed directly at Slim. M wasn't about to let that slide. He and Proof hit Tim Westwood's show in London, freestyling over LL's 4, 3, 2, 1 beat, and this time, the shots at Canibus were crystal clear. But the back and forth didn't stop there. On October 30th, 2001, Canibus dropped his third studio album, See True Hollywood Stories. On the track, You Didn't Care, he straight up hijacked the storyline of Eminem's Stand. Canibus flipped the script, accusing Eminem of being his fan back in the day while rehashing the ghostwriting rumor to throw dirt on his name. It was a bold, disrespectful move that had fans buzzing. Eminem answered in a way only he could. On May 26, 2002, he unleashed The Eminem Show. And across the album, Slim took shot after shot at Canibus. On Square Dance, he mocked him directly, even clowning his name by calling him Canna. Then on Say What You Say, while mainly dissing Jermaine Dupri, M slipped in more shade at Canibus, accusing him of weak writing and having no punchlines in his disses. Slim wasn't just battling, he was dismantling Canibus piece by piece. The last shot from the Eminem Show came on When the Music Stops. This diss was different. Eminem got clever with it. Instead of just throwing direct bars, he built his whole verse as a satire of Canibus's famous DJ Clue freestyle, mocking his style in a way fans instantly recognized. It was slick, it was shady, and it stung. But Slim wasn't finished. A couple of months later, Eminem hosted a DJ K Slay mixtape. Right on the opening track, he jumped on the Love Me beat from the 8 Mile soundtrack, And once again, Canibus was in the crosshairs. Things kept escalating. On October 1st, 2002, Xzibit released his fourth studio album, Man vs. Machine. The track Say My Name featured M, and his verse contained even more shots aimed squarely at Canibus. Eminem was making it clear he wasn't letting this beef fade away. Then on November 19th, 2002, Canibus fired back with his fourth studio album, Mic Club The Curriculum, and he came swinging. On Dr. C PhD, he went after Eminem and even dissed M's best friend, Proof, pulling no punches. Then on Curriculum 101, Canibus expanded his attack, taking aim at the entire rap industry while still finding time to jab at Eminem again. He even got creative with the physical CD itself. On the disc's artwork, fans discovered a hidden word search puzzle, and in it, the phrase, "Battle Me Slim Shady" could be spotted. It was a subliminal diss literally baked into the project. The pettiness was on full display. At the same time, Eminem was busy in another battle, his legendary feud with Benzino from The Source, where he tried to downplay Slim's success, saying if Eminem were 5 shades darker, he'd be as relevant as Canibus. Basically, he accused him of only blowing up because of his skin color. Slim's clapback came quick. On November 21st, 2002, he dropped the brutal response track, Nail in the Coffin. At one point, he even changed his voice to sound like Canibus while mocking him, then name-dropped him directly. M was battling Benzino, but he made sure Canibus caught a stray too. And Canibus wasn't done either. In 2003, he dropped the Brainstorm EP. On the track How Many MCs, he once again aimed shots at Eminem, keeping the feud alive when most rappers would have let it go. This wasn't just rap beef. It was turning into an obsession. Before the official release of Canibus's 5th album, Rip the Jacker, fans had already caught wind of the track list, and one song in particular, MC Squared, also called MC Squared, had the streets buzzing. Rumors spread heavy that it was aimed at Eminem, and sure enough, when the album finally dropped on July 22, 2003, Canibus slipped in subliminal shots, claiming M couldn't hang with him in a real battle, so he'd rather just flat out embarrass him. Eminem didn't let that slide. Just 2 months later, on September 23, 2003, Obi Trice dropped his mixtape, The Bar Is Open. On the Funk Flex interlude, Eminem clowned other rappers by impersonating them. And when it came to Canibus, Slim went over the top, mocking his voice, dragging him, and even pretending to shoot him at the end of the skit. Things escalated even more bizarrely in October. On the 20th, Eminem's birthday, he threw a party at Proof's favorite club. Word spread that M was set to battle Canibus that night. But when the moment came, it turned out to be a setup. Proof, not M, was the one meant to battle. Still, when they arrived, there was a man waiting who looked exactly like Canibus. M sized him up hard, only for Proof to reveal it was just a lookalike. Slim didn't miss a beat. He still mocked him and kept calling the guy Canibus anyway. Then came the real chaos. In November 2003, a batch of Eminem's unreleased tracks mysteriously surfaced. These were private joints Slim had burned on a CD for his brother Nate to hear. Somehow they leaked out and ended up on a bootleg project called Straight From The Lab. Among those tracks was one titled The Canibus, a direct diss track that Slim had cooked up specifically for his rival. Now, here's the twist. This track was rumored to have actually been recorded back in 2002, before the Eminem show even dropped. As for how it leaked, there are 2 major theories. For a while, Canibus stayed silent. Not because he was backing down, but because he was literally serving in the US military. When he finally returned on August 22, 2004, he popped up on the Wake Up Show with Sway and Tech. But when the topic of Eminem came up, Canibus dodged it completely. Still, when pressed about how the beef even started, he chalked it up to nothing more than communication problems. Sway pushed harder, mentioning Eminem's diss track. Canibus admitted someone played it for him while he was in the army, but he brushed it off, saying Slim's shots didn't light a fire in him because they weren't strong enough. To him, it was a weak attempt. But the real twist came a month later in September 2004. On a Canibus fan forum, it was revealed he had secretly been posting under the username DCA. One of the mods even set up a Q&A with him, When asked about the meaning behind his controversial album, See True Hollywood Stories, Canibus gave a cryptic but emotional answer. He said, "Ironically, I take pleasure in seeing what it means to you all. I sometimes picture there's a gauntlet of pissed off people I have to run through about CTHS. I mildly remember quotes here and there about my mental, musical, and emotional state. Of course, I was delusional with the relationship between what I wanted and what I already had." Then he dropped the bomb. He admitted that he took Stan personally because of his own history with Eminem. He even confessed, "I will come clean and tell you all that I played the role and hurt him deeply. If it's any consolation to you, I was crushed tenfold when I heard Stan. Yes, besides the fact that I heard the record maybe a couple hundred short of 1 million times, even then, I knew my opportunity to make things right with M was nil." For fans, this was shocking. After years of back-and-forth disses, Canibus was finally admitting just how much the feud and Eminem's music had really gotten under his skin. So what Canibus was really saying is this: he believed Eminem wrote Stan as a subliminal diss aimed at him. Why? Because M had once been a massive Canibus fan. But when they finally crossed paths, Canibus treated him cold, almost disrespectful. That moment stuck with Slim, and according to Canibus, it fueled the venom behind one of M's most iconic tracks. The story didn't end there. Canibus claimed that an intern from Shady Records once called him up, asking if he wanted to battle someone at Riggs Morales' Fight Club in New York, a legendary spot where any MC, signed or unsigned, could go head-to-head. Later, he said he even got an email suggesting it was Eminem himself who wanted to face off at Fight Club. The idea of Slim and Canibus squaring up in that raw environment had the streets buzzing, but the showdown never happened. Instead, the beef began to cool, at least on the surface. Then, on November 12, 2004, Eminem dropped his fifth album, Encore. On the track Never Enough, M fired shots once again, mocking Canibus for having all the time in the world to write a proper diss, only to back down once the beef seemed squashed. Slim painted him as someone too scared to keep the fight alive. But Canibus wasn't done sending smoke signals. In 2005, Sway and Tech released their third studio album, Back to Basics. On the track I Wish You Would, featuring Chino XL, Royce Da 5'9", and Canibus himself, fans believed he threw more subliminal darts at Eminem. Some even say he squeezed in disses toward 50 Cent and G-Unit 2. That same year, on November 1st, 2005, Canibus released his seventh studio album, Hip Hop for Sale. On the track Dear Academy, he shouted out industry friends, including D12 and Eminem, but slipped in a subliminal line about running 8 miles, which fans immediately took as another sly nod to Slim. And then came the leak. A track called The Ballad surfaced, where Canibus directly addressed his feud with Eminem. Rumors swirled that this joint had actually been recorded years earlier, around 2001 or 2002, during his time in the UK. By then, the back and forth had turned into one of hip-hop's longest-running grudge matches. By late 2005, Canibus signed with Head Trauma Records and teamed up with Phoenix Orion to form the duo Cloak and Dagger. While promoting their album DEFCON0, he dropped a freestyle called 4 Verses. In it, Canibus took more shots at Eminem and even confirmed that Mic Club 2 was in the works, once again bringing up that rumored Fight Club battle that never happened. After that, things quieted down until 2007. While performing to promote his new record, For Whom the Beat Tolls, Canibus invited a fan on stage to spit, but the moment turned wild when the fan grabbed the mic and shouted, "It's all about Canibus, fam Eminem!" The crowd went crazy, and although it wasn't Canibus himself, the moment reignited whispers of the old feud. Fast forward more than a decade later. On July 19, 2019, Eminem linked up with Conway the Machine for the track Bang. And in his verse, Slim couldn't resist sliding in a slick bar. "That was back when I smoked cannabis, man, but it was tough, cause I was a fan of Canibus. It was a subtle nod, but proof that even after all those years, the rivalry still lived in M's memory." From there, the feud finally went cold. No more disses, no more subliminals. The long battle between Canibus and Eminem was officially over. And while fans dreamed of a one-on-one lyrical battle between the two, that fantasy never became reality. Both rappers proved their lyrical greatness, but the question still lingers. Who was truly the better rapper, Eminem or Canibus? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe, share this with your people, and I'll catch you on the next one.